I'm Markowicz, and I own, with my business partner, Brendan Coyne, we own a business called DowntownUp. And DowntownUp is a business coaching business here in Vermont. And I founded it, and the reason why I started it is that I wanted to add a for-profit into the mix of what's available exclusively for Vermont business owners. There's a lot of great not-for-profit action happening in that regard here, as well as from the state, but I didn't see a for-profit out there that was dedicated exclusively on a mission-driven level to helping Vermont businesses and local economies thrive. And so I thought that would be good to have in the mix. And so that's our exclusive mission, is Vermont businesses doing a deep dive into understanding what we all as Vermont businesses need to be able to grow and stay strong. And so what we do is we work with the business owners, and we are strategy people. So we're helping folks to look at what are the best strategies to get them not just to where their vision wants them to be, but also helping to, and this is a really good time to be looking at why this is so important, helping business owners to look beyond what their vision might tell them, to be able to put a really good foundation of security into their business as well, so that, you know, that if something like, you know, a pandemic or whatever else, and we'll talk about different things that can happen to a business, if something hits, that the vision is held by a really secure base, a really secure foundation. So we're looking at strategy to help folks be able to have the strongest business possible. And by doing that, then we're all stronger together because, you know, local businesses and a local economy. So it's a really fun and gratifying business model that we've developed. And I'm excited to be here. I've been doing webinars across the state throughout this. Every place and every group of people is different, so I've adjusted the webinar to what I understand from talking with Meg, and you know, are some of the key issues that your community is facing. So I'll get the slides up on the screen in a minute, but one thing that I want to reiterate is, so once my slides are going, I will see almost none of you. It's way more important to me that your questions are answered, that your perspectives are brought in, than that I get through this entire slide deck. I will send the slide deck to Meg. She can send it to you all so that you have the complete slide deck, but I want this to be as absolutely relevant to you all as possible. So please freely unmute yourself, interrupt, or raise your hand and have Meg call on you at any time. Don't be shy about it. I grew up in New York. New Yorkers interrupt each other all the time, so I'm not going to be offended if you interrupt me. And I'm also going to allow for a little bit of adventure for anybody who is adventurous here. There will be a section here to enable us to workshop one of you and your business. So anybody who wants to have some free business coaching on here for about 10-15 minutes, you can start to, you know, feel the butterflies in your belly now, so that you can breathe and get used to being front and center with us, because I'm just going to call for a volunteer, and first come, first serve. So if you center yourself now, if you really think that will be of value to you, that you can be the first one to jump on and say, yes, I want to be that person. So with that, I am going to take a moment here to share my screen. Most of you, unfortunately, are going to disappear from my view, but you're still in my mind's eye. So we're all here together. Give me a second to get this going. All right. So this is called Strategies for Resilience. I just told you about DowntownUp and who we are. I told you about myself. So let's move from there. If I can get this working, which I'm sorry, but there's a glitch. So I am going to have to unshare my screen for a minute and re-share it, because glitches happen here.
That's sort of the beauty of Zoom, is it works until, you know.
Until it doesn't. Yep. All right. I will have this up here in a second, and it should work, hopefully. All right, let's see if this works now. Yes, great. I just told you about us, so I will skip that. Here's an overview of what we're looking at if we get through all the slides. The presentation is going to look at first what got us here and the opportunities that the new normal gives you. It's really important to understand what got us here, because even though none of us could have predicted when a pandemic was going to hit, it's important that we understand that there's a principle that we have to apply to our businesses moving forward that allows us to predict any of these types of things, even if we don't know what they are. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on that. Then we're going to look at some general shifts in strategy, as well as a market reach assessment. And then I'm going to offer you some key questions. So this is what I have been noticing. One thing that coaches do a lot is we ask a lot of questions. And I love asking a question and having somebody say to me, that's a great question. In this time, even more so than ever, that is really important, because there's a lot of stress and we are feeling stressed. And when you feel stress, then your mind closes down. And that means that your problem-solving abilities close down a lot with it. But great questions open the mind. So I am going to throw a lot of questions at you. Again, you're going to get this slide deck, so you don't have to worry about frantically trying to write all those questions down. So that means that you've got homework from this. You're going to be taking these questions and running with them on your own. I will talk at the end about an opportunity. If you want to talk with me one-on-one, then you can certainly do that. We're just, as good neighbors, we're giving a half-hour strategy, COVID-specific strategy time to business owners. And we're not going to try to sell you anything on the other side of that. So I'll get you information about how you can do that if you want to explore any of these questions or anything else. But this is a very question-based presentation. I want to emphasize something. I cannot emphasize this enough. Things are starting to open up, and that can give us a false sense of security. I want everybody to feel really secure. I don't want us to be walking around for the rest of our lives shaken and shattered. But on the other hand, if any part of yourself is looking to just go back to what you had before the pandemic, this is going to offer a different view from being able to do that. So if there's any part of you as we're going through this that is looking at some of this stuff and saying, well, that doesn't apply to me anymore because I know that in a few weeks then I'll be opened up again, I'm just going to invite you to, allow yourself to have that, to feel that, but to really key into what we're talking about today. Because we really are in a new normal, and even if everything were to go back in a few months exactly to how it was before, I would say that we're still in a new normal, because we should know that we need to have a stronger foundation. And a lot of what we're talking about today is building that foundation. So we'll have a time for Q&A and a wrap up for next steps. But again, don't wait until the time for Q&A. Jump in anytime that you want. So before we begin, here's some kind of ground rules that I like to put out there. One of them is none of us has a monopoly on the truth, not even myself. I'm giving you my best information. but our best expertise is all of our expertise together. And with that, vulnerability and honesty leads to greater success. We can silo ourselves, we're local, we may want to put our best face on and say everything is great. With folks, one of the gifts that this has given us is that it's really hard for many folks to say everything is just great right now. So we're here together as Vermont business owners, myself included, and I'm encouraging vulnerability on this, but also when you leave here. If you're not already, talk to the other business owners honestly about what's going on, because that way we can really be all in it together and problem solve together. So that can, happen here too. You're the #1 expert on your business, so take what works for you from this webinar, but also challenge yourself to take in the uncomfortable. And you don't have to do anything, obviously, I'm sure you know, you don't have to do anything that I suggest at all. And the other thing that I'll say is small communities, with that vulnerability piece, the corollary to that is confidentiality is paramount. So we're all on here together. You all can go and blab about me as much as you want. That's the kind of, I'm just the presenter here. But if you hear something from one of your fellow business owners on here, unless they give you permission to bring it up out in the general public, then I'm gonna ask you to keep it confidential. So I'm sure that that's not controversial. So let's look at what got us here, first of all. A black swan. A black swan is a term in business that not a lot of business owners are familiar with, but it's probably the most important term in business. A black swan is an unforeseeable event that has the potential to do major harm to a business. So it's unforeseeable, but it has this potential to do major harm. And though they can't be foreseen, you can prepare for them. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, is simultaneously how you can get yourself better positioned for just doing great in business, and how that will also give you a solid foundation to be prepared, because the next black swan is likely to hit in most of our lifetimes. So let's look at some necessary survival shifts in that regard. You need to put in buffers and force fields. It's not enough anymore to have, the kind of Vermont business, which is in a lot of, New England coastal business type of things, where, they're very charming, and it really makes a lot of sense why somebody would want to own a business that is running, that's like, a really small business that is just giving you, kind of what you need to survive, and it's just the local folks who come in, or, second homeowners or tourists who come in. There's a wider world out there, and it's really important that we embrace that in some ways without sacrificing what's most important to the vision that you have of what you want your business to be. We need to put in these buffers and force fields. So here are some ways to do that. #1, improve your marketing. Sorry about that. Let me go backwards here. Improve your marketing and selling strategies offline and online. We don't do enough marketing as business owners, as small business owners in Vermont, most of the time. And some marketing is baffling to the average business owner. I'm not talking about that you have to jump into the baffling side of things, but there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that will make a difference. Strengthen your brand by offering a more unique, fun, gratifying, and relational experience. We also don't necessarily think about brand so often. We are a brick and mortar business, and we do what we do, and local folks love us for it, but that also lets us off the hook from being a bit more intentional about our relationship with folks as a brand. Solidify your customer loyalty. We can tend to take for granted that folks are going to be loyal to us, but loyalty is a two-way street, and the more actively involved you are in solidifying your customer loyalty, the more loyalty you'll get. And expand into new markets. We're going to be looking at that in a bit. Create a relationship and experience-based customer communication ecosystem. A lot of us don't communicate ongoing with our customers. They come in the door, we might talk with them for an hour or two, which is wonderful. But when they're not there, we're not necessarily communicating with them as our customers. We might be communicating with them community member to community member, but deliberately as our customers, we're not. And this is so key right now, focus on more profits to build cash reserves. There's so much more that we love about our businesses than just the pure cash side of it, and that's great, that's super, but we haven't thought enough about the cash side of it, I would posit, and we really need to. In the end of the day, those businesses that had strong cash reserves of even 4 or 5 months of cash reserves, it gave them a way to just breathe when this happened and focus on strategy rather than getting bogged down by too much stress right at the beginning. So it is very important. There are some great opportunities, I would say, that this new normal gives you. One of the biggest ones is to get back in touch with your why and let it pave your way more than ever. Why did you start your business? Why are you in it now? What are you trying to do with it? What's your vision for it for others and for what it's going to do for you? Get back in touch with that and ask that anew. Because when there's stress, that's the hardest time to just get out of bed and go and be in the business all this time that you haven't been able to have the doors open, but maybe you're in there and nobody else is. So and it's it's not a great feeling. So your big why is fuel to get you through times like this. Embrace new challenges to take your business in directions it hasn't gone or hasn't traversed sufficiently. Again, some of this is low-hanging fruit and some of this is more of a challenge. And challenges are great. They help us grow. Take the opportunity to put your entrepreneur hat back on and learn new things. When you've been in business for a while and the business is doing the same thing day in and day out, then we can lose that entrepreneurial edge. And if you can put yourself back when you first opened your business, or maybe some of you are still there, it's an exciting, exuberant time, even if also a scary time, or because you're uncertain. But now is just a time for all of us to become entrepreneurs again, and to become far more prepared for the next black swan, or even just the next rainy day. So those are some opportunities. I'm really big on looking at, you look at the stressful thing that's in front of you, and then as soon as possible saying, what are the opportunities that this is giving me, and moving towards those opportunities. So this section is about a market reach assessment. A question being, do you need to expand into new markets? So these are your your tapped and untapped markets. So you'll notice in the center, first of all, I have a question. Is that your business down there where the hands are exchanging money in the center? Well, if it is, then your business is situated as many, many Vermont businesses are which is just in the relatively tiny market that is your town. But there are these other markets out there. One of them is regional, and what I mean by regional here is within Vermont regional. So I'm in central Vermont, or southern Vermont, or whatever your region is, just within Vermont. Many, many brick and mortar stores here don't even market over to the next town. And it's not so hard to do, and it can make a big difference. So thinking about just taking that step. Now, one market level out from there in green is the whole state. We have lots of tourists in the state who, right, we love to go to other towns. But we don't always know, there are 251 towns, we don't always know which one to go to, and unless we're doing all 251, then we might miss you. So, you know, I'm up in Montpelier, and I don't recall seeing anything from folks in you know, your area marketed up here. It doesn't happen. So once in a while there's a great news story and we hear about somebody, but otherwise we don't. And likewise, I'm sure down there. So there are more opportunities to market yourself around the state as a destination for people to stop in and drive to on purpose, just to go to your shop. Wouldn't that be awesome? And then in red is national. There's lots of opportunity to be marketing yourself nationally. What we do a lot here in Vermont is we tend to rely on the state to take care of the national marketing. And I travel around the country a fair amount, and I see billboards for Vermont, and that's wonderful. It's all about skiing, which I love skiing, so that makes me happy too. But you're probably not being represented enough, if at all, around the country, and you could be. And it doesn't even have to cost you that much. And even if you pay somebody else to do that version of, you know, that portion of your marketing, it doesn't have to cost you very much. And I've got some folks I can certainly recommend who can help you with that, the brass tacks of that. So these are the different markets. I didn't go into international. I know that, you know, there's some sales into Canada, and some folks are selling more widely than that, but that because there are laws involved in that, and you know, I don't want to drag that part in. But at least looking at this, if your business is just marketing, or not even marketing, but just situated within your town, and you're not looking at these other markets, it's really time to start strategizing to how can you do that and still have the business that you want and love. And it's totally possible. So here are some questions about that for you, some key questions. Which markets am I currently selling to? So you can take these slides and you can look at that slide we just had and review this later for yourself too. But which markets am I currently selling to? In order to remain viable, which markets do I need to sell to? What are the marketing tools and strategies that will best reach the markets I need to sell to? Do I or someone who works for me have sufficient knowledge, skills, drive, and follow through to effectively use the necessary marketing tools and strategies, or do I need outside assistance? Same question about sales. What sales tools and strategies do I need to achieve the necessary sales numbers in the markets I need to sell to? Numbers are very tricky. We don't all feel comfortable with them. That's why we might have CPAs and bookkeepers, but now's the time to get in touch with your numbers and look at your bottom line and really protect your bottom line at all costs. So you may need to get into an uncomfortable zone and start to think about your numbers more than you do if that's an uncomfortable place for you. Next question is, do I or someone who works for me have sufficient knowledge, skills, drive, and follow through to effectively use the necessary sales tools and strategies, or do I need outside assistance? Here's some that goes to the heart of where it's always key to me that you as a business owner are happy in your business. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to me to have it. It doesn't mean you're going to be happy every moment, but overall, when you look at it, in the end of the day, you're like, yeah, this is the business I want to have, and I am the person I want to be in it. So we're going to start to look at some of those things with these other questions. Does my business model need to make major shifts to accommodate reaching the markets I need to sell to in order to remain viable? And if so, would I still be happy owning the business under the adjusted business model? There is no right or wrong answer to that question except for what's right for you. And we can feel a lot of pressure about failure as business owners. And all I would say to you is it's super important that you look at your heart and soul and who you want to be, and that there's, you know, I'm just going to bring it up because I think it's as important as as looking at how everything you can do to save your business. Some folks are not going to be happy with what that takes, and if you find that you're not, then by all means proceed as you have been. And some folks are going to be fine doing that. So this is an inquiry for you to go through to see if you believe after asking these questions that you're going to be fine with the identical business model and level of marketing, then go for it. But if that doesn't pan out and you ask yourself, do I want to do this other stuff? And you really don't, that's not failure, that's success, because that's just looking and saying, I want something else. And when we don't give ourselves the something else's that we really want in our heart, then that creates problems. So there's no shame in answering no to question 8. But for many people, you're going to be surprised. Most people, I think, are going to be surprised to say, oh, wow, I can have a different business model that's complementary. It's not going to crush what I've done. It's going to complement it. And that's great. Why not? So if I would still be happy owning the business, what do the shifts in business model require? And what do I need to get that in place? And if I would not still be happy, what is my economic and vocational plan B? So now we're going to move into some general strategies here. More questions and statements first, but then we're going to move into some more questions. First, that's really important for retail. Don't try to compete with Amazon. I know that Amazon can feel like a crushing weight for a lot of brick and mortar retail, but Amazon is just the lowest priced thing out there that delivers quickly. It has absolutely no other cachet. It has the worst brand relationship. It doesn't relate with you at all, except for trying to sell more stuff to you by recommending with its AI the next thing for you to buy. But that's on purpose. That's its business model. Your business model is entirely different. So you are what Amazon can't be. So you don't need to worry about Amazon as much as you might think. Cultivate an online and offline brand based on relationship, a fun and gratifying experience and brand love. That's where the ongoing communication and some of the marketing strategies that you may not be employing really come into play. Do better, more consistent marketing in the offline and online space. I can't emphasize this enough. We work a lot with folks on pricing, and most of the time when we work with folks on pricing, they end up raising their prices, coming back to us and saying, holy cow, all of our customers said, I've been waiting for you to raise your prices forever. That's great. We worked with one local business up here who raised his prices 3 times in 3 months because he just kept getting feedback after the first time from his loyal customers that they're not high enough. So sales are an integral part of retail, but you want to avoid overdoing sales. The purpose of sales really should be to bring in new customers and also to bring back customers who haven't been there in a long time. But right now there can be a temptation, well, how are we going to get customers back? Well, let's slash the crud out of our pricing and throw up sales. I'm going to suggest avoid sales, raise prices in accordance with what makes you special, unique, and irresistible. Because people who care about low price, those are going to go to Amazon. People who care about you and what you offer, don't care about the price as much. Everybody's different in that regard, and you have to know your folks, your customer base. But I'm just suggesting that you can think a little differently about pricing here. Collaborate with nearby businesses to solve problems such as shipping and delivery. I got to tell you, I am so bummed out that I hate driving, and that I wouldn't want to have a logistics-oriented business, because there's a huge opportunity right now for somebody to develop a flat fee-based delivery service for local businesses that can undo all of the problems that folks have with shipping locally. Somebody should do that, but you all can solve these problems together. If you all come together and one of you has a vehicle you're willing to throw in and willing to do the delivery, and you all deliver at the same time, throw it all in that vehicle, and 3 o'clock every day is a delivery time, then you're not individually siloed trying to figure out delivery for local things. I mean, this is just one example, but with any problem that you think that you're having right now, I guarantee you that almost every other business in your area is having it. And that's where the vulnerability comes in. Get on a Zoom call just to talk about those problems and problem solve together. Expand your markets and marketing strategies. We talked about that some. Use email marketing. People are terrified of email marketing, and the reason is because most people do email marketing terribly. So you get all these terrible business emails in your inbox. Then you think, nobody wants to hear from me. Well, if you do great email marketing, then people will love you for it, because they'll get a great email from you in their inbox, and that's so different. So email marketing is fantastic. I suggest you use it regularly. Social media depends on your particular situation, but for many businesses, social media is going to be very important. And search engine optimization, all of those things to improve your brand positioning and awareness. And again, there are people around who can help you with that, and it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg to get that help. And I certainly know great folks in that, who are Vermonters who understand the economic situations of Vermont businesses and will work with you on that. Market to all markets, not just one. Develop ongoing deep communication channels and strategies with customers to remind them of your brand and products and increase loyalty and sales volume. You'll notice I talk about communication a lot with your customers. Where possible, if your business model allows for it, tie customers into subscriptions. There's a whole art to that. We work with a lot of folks on that, and it's really fun to see. I'll just tell you anecdotally, the folks who we were working with to get subscriptions up before COVID hit, they are doing fantastically now as everything has moved much more online. Because they have the strategy to build subscriptions and they just ran with it, and their subscriptions are up a ton. So that is possible to do and do quite well with. So now 10 key questions for you. Can I move much more into the online marketing and sales space? What new ways can I employ to deliver my products and services? Are there strategic partnerships I can create to help scale my business? What products or services that I've never offered might be wildly exciting to my customer base? That's one of the things that's really cool about right now, is seeing all the out-of-the-box new products and services that people are developing. Really cool stuff that is going on in that regard. Are there new pricing and payment models I can adopt? What can I do to gain more customers from nearby and farther away? What ways haven't I tried or done well yet to stay in touch with customers and build loyalty? What value do my ideal customers most want and need me to add to their lives right now? And by the way, I want you to think about that always in terms of building loyalty. One of the things that actually drives me a little nuts is that most local loyalty programs are giving something away. you know, I go into the coffee shop, I get my 10th cup of coffee free. I don't want that. And I don't think that your customers, by and large, want the free thing. We'll take it, but if you have something else for us that is some version of thank you that is not just a freebie, then we'll be really happy with that, because we're not coming to your business because we're waiting for a free thing every 10th purchase. We're coming to your business because we totally love it. So that's something to think about. How can I create, market, sell, and deliver current or new products or services that will add the value that folks want from me right now for their lives and make my business come out of COVID-19 as strong or stronger than before it? And through what channels do my customers want to find out about and buy those products or services? Again, kind of a blessing in disguise, I would say. As a business coach, I've been talking with local business owners for several years about how important it is to be in the online space. And all of a sudden, I mean, I got a nice, I was excited about this like day 2 when I started to hear all of those businesses who didn't want to do that all of a sudden have an online shop that they built in a day. You know, there is that gift that we've all had to jump online, and now you're better positioned than ever. And it doesn't mean that your offline has to go away in any shape or form. Use the online to complement it. But people want to hear from businesses through multiple channels these days, and there are lots of opportunities for it. Some of it is rocket science. If it stresses you to no end, then, you know, find something that doesn't stress you as much, or get help for the rocket science things, because rocket science explained for many of us turns into, oh, okay, that's not as hard as I thought. So those are a lot of questions, a lot of strategies. And now I just want to open it up for, does anybody have any questions, comments, confusions, concerns that you want to bring up? If you do, unmute yourself and start talking, or raise your hand or whatever, or throw them into chat, or whatever ways are your preference.
Sam, this is Meg here.
Yeah.
I threw 2 things in chat. And then also, maybe if we're done with the slide deck, do we want to maybe just, we can kill the screen share and then we can like look at each other, and we can all be on the Zoom grid and go back to being the drinking girl and the bookcase girl. And
I am trying to like.
I might be able to do that. Let's see. Maybe I can.
My mouse just went crazy, but here it is. I got no. If can like no, I can exit the full screen here.
Yeah, I might be able to also stop sharing. Why don't I hit? I'll hit stop sharing.
Here we go.
I did that to you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, because my mouse was going nuts there.
All right, now we can put everybody back in the grid. Hello, everybody again.
Hi, everybody.
So I had 2 things. I threw 2 questions into the chat, and then also I had something to add that I can offer as a resource for people. So my 2 things were, I would love to hear an example of a great strategic partnership that you might have heard of that has happened through this or through another time. Like if you just have some example of like the, you know, bookseller and the coffee shop paired up and started doing deliveries. I don't know. And then also so any fun examples you might have of people kind of pivoting and offering new different services or products that just happened out of this that you heard and you were like, that was the coolest thing ever. I can't believe that worked, and it did. So those are 2 things I would love to hear.
Great. I'll start with the second. So there's somebody up here, Bailey Road, wonderful business, wonderful person behind the business. And she has a kind of professional, more upscale clothing business for, you know, for women professionals. And part of what she offers in that regard is she offers private, you know, fashion work where, you know, you come in and you schedule it in advance, you come into the shop, and together then you create a wardrobe for yourself. She brought that online and kind of did a you know, a bit of a kind of runway type of thing online. And she also had wine involved in it. So, you know, that was a bit also for your first question. There's a great wine shop. It's actually a tea and wine shop in town. Another fantastic, it's my second office. I love that place. And great owner, and they collaborated with the wine pairing. And so people got the wine in advance, and, you know, and then got on there and looked at the fashion and had a great kind of experience online with it. A lot of the tasting rooms and distilleries and wine shops and whatnot have been doing online tastings, which is great, because there's something that's really cool about that that actually works better than an in-person tasting, which is, in an in-person tasting, you're giving people wine for free. But if you're doing it online, they have to have a bottle of wine in front of them. And that's not going to be free, and they'll totally understand it. So you're getting the wine to them. They have the bottle of wine. They're much more tied into be guaranteed that they're going to be than on the Zoom wine tasting with everybody else. And you know, those are some examples that are successful. There are lots more. I mean, you know, coffee. I've got a, you know, coffee client, Brave Coffee, up in Waterbury, and they do a subscription model. They're one of the people that's really taking off with subscriptions. They've been pairing up around the state with special others, you know, shelf-stable specialty foods folks, and pairing coffees with granola or with chocolate or you name it, and being able to sell together and mutually market for each other. There's, before this, the local movie theater, the local art theater, the Savoy, and the local vinyl record shop here, you know, collaborated, as with the bookshop also, on some movies that came out, like a biographical art film that has a book behind it and has records because it's about a musician. And they're all collaborating on the marketing and selling together. So lots of examples, and a lot more can be done with that.
I also just threw something in the chat for everybody, and we'll get this out in an email when we send the slide deck too. Actually, I didn't hit return yet. There we go. I just put a link in the chat, which you can go ahead and open or look at, or open later. I'll send it out again. So Brattleboro Area Mutual Aid had this really cool idea, sort of working with their downtown organization, sort of Wilmington Works counterpart in Brattleboro, saying all these small businesses need some tech and maybe some marketing help, or just like, how the heck do I set this up? Or I set up this Facebook thing and it's just not working. So these people are a bunch of people that are kind of bored at home and work in this field and are happy to help their local businesses because they don't want them to die. And they actually specifically extended it to Wilmington and sent an invite via Wilmington Works and said, please tell people about this. So I put a link there. It's Brattleboro, Bama, Vermont, BAMAVT.org, Tech Marketing Corp. And they are offering for people help with whatever your technical problem is, whether that's, you know, I need a better Wi-Fi router so that I can have better, you know, Wi-Fi in my shop, down to I need help setting up email marketing help, or can someone suggest a good DIY web platform for me to set up my online store overnight. So feel free to reach out to them and just tell them what your thing is that you would like help with, and perhaps they can find you someone. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a resource when we're talking about all this stuff in theory. Here's some nuts and bolts. So just feel free to, and let me know how it goes, because I haven't, you know, I'd love to hear how that interaction works. So just putting that out there.
Awesome, awesome. And I'll get a link out to you all later, also through Meg, that gives you information about, again, about our you know, half-hour strategy session that's free to you all. And also we have an email list that is we're sending out weekly tips on how to deal with COVID and have a thriving business. And so, so anybody want to jump on by chance and do a little bit of quick workshopping of your business? Going once? All right, Cordelia, unmute yourself, please, and let's do it.
Okay. So my business is in the middle of a big transition. I've been in business 2 years, and I've popped around. So I don't own my own building, and I don't want to continue to pay rent if people can't come in and, you know, browse around more than one person at a time. I have very small, like, there's just no space. So my thought is to go like pop-ups and online. And I still want to be Dover, Wilmington. I want to be in our valley. I want to be part of the community, but I don't want to have an actual physical space that I'm paying rent for during this. That doesn't mean I'm not going to reopen later.
Yeah. And what is your business?
So I sell gifts and gadgets. It started out as kind of a kitchen store. Then I realized I couldn't really be a kitchen store because kitchen stores have thousands of products.
Yeah.
So it's evolved, you know, it's always evolving. And I'm doing some stuff online right now. Now you said don't put stuff on sale, and I just advertised a big sale for Saturday.
Well, that's okay. And again, I didn't say don't put stuff on sale, just don't have that be the thing that you do all the time. Sales really should, again, be there to bring in new customers and to remind customers who haven't been in a while that you're there and bring them back into the fold. But there are lots of other ways to build loyalty beyond that. So what would be like your burning question that you would love answered today?
So how do you reach people on social media that are not your friends? Because so far, every single sale has been somebody that I know personally is either family or friend.
Great. There are a couple of answers to that. Number one is, if you don't already, make sure that you have a dedicated business page rather than operating from your personal Facebook profile. So do you have that?
Business accounts.
Yeah. And so if you have your own business page, this is where the paid side of social media is really important. There's a false notion out there that, so there's two things with social media. One is called organic, and that's what we're most familiar with, right? That's just, we just post something and magic happens. And then there's paid. And there's a myth out there because we love big, bright, shiny stories. And so when somebody goes viral, that's a great story. And it truly is a great story. We love hearing about it. It's newsworthy and so forth. But the unfortunate part is that puts a myth out there that it's really possible to build a thriving business through organic reach. And most of the time it's not. Most of the time you're not actually seeing what is going on behind the scenes on social media that is driving business, and that is the paid side. So Facebook is the main driver of that, and Facebook owns Instagram, so also through Instagram. It does not have to be expensive, and a lot can be done with it. It also is, unfortunately, really cumbersome to get into the back end of Facebook's, the workings of truly placing an ad rather than boosting a post. However, the short answer that I will give you with that, and I do have people who can help you with that. It looks like maybe you'll get that help through the link too that Meg put up there. But if you don't get help through that link and you want somebody who can help you with the paid side of this, I certainly can offer you that. The short answer is, to avoid friends, then you want to do a campaign through paid Facebook and Instagram that is a like campaign that gets people to like and follow you. And you want to target it, you create audiences, and you want to create audiences that are folks who have interests that are, compatible with your business. And that will get people to start following you who are not just your friends and your family. And then from there, then there's any number of things that you can do to continue to market to those folks. But even if you just got that done, then when you have a sale, then you can, or any other kind of enticement for folks to buy, you can put that on as an organic post, and then you can boost that post and choose the audience choose an audience that is outside of your friends and family, that is relevant to people who would love what you're offering, and then send it out that way. And you can even do that second step without first doing the like campaign. It's a matter of, but you do need to understand how to use the audience tool.
Yeah.
So that's, one way that you would do it. There are others as well, but that's a good solid foundation. Just if you do that, then you'll be getting some good traction over time.
Do you have any kind of like generic time frame that I should be should I get a campaign that does a weekly ad, a daily ad, a monthly, like how long does it really take to start growing?
Forever, because growth is not just something that stops necessarily. But to not be facetious, always run something for 3 days, because it takes at least 24 hours for Facebook's algorithm to even find the right people.
Okay.
So run it and don't look at it for 24 hours. Then have it be a 2-day experiment after that to see how it goes, and watch the data. And if your spend goes down per whatever it is, per click or per view or whatever your metric is, if your spend goes down and you can live with keeping on going and it looks like it's a good trajectory, that if your spend goes down, because that means that your goal is being met and Facebook is rewarding you by making it cost less. Then just watch the budget, and you can run it for as long as it's doing what you want it to do. But some ads are evergreen, and just like one great ad has built a business, and other ads you want to shut down after 3 days because you're spending way more than you thought you were going to spend if you keep it going, and it's just not doing well. So it's a matter of watching it in that way. Yeah.
That
Great.
helps, because I usually start one and then get disgruntled and turn it off within the first day or so.
Yeah, don't do that. So I'm aware of the time, and so we need to start to wrap up now. Meg, is that correct?
Yeah, so I just, while we're wrapping up, I want to see, Eric, do you have anything you want to add or talk about? I'm going to unmute Eric for a second, because we also have Eric here from the chamber. Eric, can I unmute you? I don't know, it's not letting me unmute you, but do you have anything you'd like to add or jump in? Because we've been really offering these as a group, so it's not just, Wilmington Works. So anything that Eric has to add, or go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for being here today. Really hoping that these are informational and giving you guys some guidance. Sam, thank you so much for being here to talk with us today. Really appreciate your help. And just keep an eye out for the rest of our webinars and calls that we're going to be doing, because I think with each call, we're going to take a more specific dive into different things, and even though one call may not be what you're looking for, the next call might. So just keep an eye on what the topics are, and if they apply to you, and we look forward to seeing you all on the rest of the calls.
And Gretchen, do you have?
Yeah, I just want to say, you guys are the real heroes here. I know how stressful, or actually, I don't know how stressful that this all must be. And I think that the three of us, Meg and Eric and I, are trying to put together these pieces for you. And we would love to hear your feedback. And if you have questions, please, reach out to each one of us. And the other piece, if you have any other suggestions. So thank you.
I saw Lorraine had something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lorraine's-
Lorraine, go ahead.
yeah.
Unmute. Wait,
Eric, I
just
had-
there you go. Yep, you're good.
Okay. Eric, I had asked you some questions about Apple Pay and Venmo. Did you find out anything about that more for me?
Lorraine, that's on my list of things for this morning. It was a
Does
little
anybody else
yesterday.
here use it or know anything about using it?
So Lorraine's question to me yesterday was, she's looking for a way to kind of expedite the process of being able to receive money, whether that be through Apple Pay or Venmo or any of those avenues. Are any of you using any of those things that you might be able to share with Lorraine that could help her out?
I'm not using it, but I would also like the information on Apple Pay. I know I have a credit card machine that I think allows people to tap and do. I haven't used that feature because I haven't needed to, but I'm going to be looking for that by Friday when I reopen.
Okay.
I think
But I
Lisa
would
has,
like
Lisa's
information
our,
on Apple Pay.
So like Andrea, our credit card machine allows for Apple Pay. So that's based on the standard credit card charging machine that we have in the store. We have thought about taking Venmo and have chosen not to because we really, personally for our business, feel like Venmo works better in sort of person-to-person transactions.
Yeah.
And we have concerns about how we would track the Venmo payment to the customer, and you know, it seems like it's not, for us it's not right. It might be okay because you have a different relationship with your customers than we do. So
Can I ask Lisa how your
Venmo is very easy to set up. If you want to do Venmo, it'll be like that.
Lisa, how did opening day go?
So it looks like everybody is
we're freezing up.
muted and breaking up.
Yeah. All right, try again, Lisa.
Oh, you're muted, Lisa.
Sorry, everything was freezing up. So I missed a bunch because it was frozen. But what I was saying is we chose not to use Venmo for our business because we feel like it's not great business to consumer. In that you're not actually sure if the money is being transferred. There's not as many protections, I don't think, using Venmo. You may have a different relationship with your customers where you sort of know them or not. But for us, we didn't feel like it was a great solution. If you choose to go that route, Venmo is very easy to set up. And Apple Pay, we have right in our credit card processing machine. I mean, Apple Pay is just hooked up already, so.
I wanted to ask Lisa how her opening day went and if there was anything she learned from day one open.
Well, day one went really smoothly. It was yesterday, and we were pretty prepared. We had mostly local customers or second homeowners, and all but one person had a mask, so it went pretty smoothly. The one person who didn't have a mask was just sort of clueless and wasn't like a problem or anything, and we offered that person a mask, and they wore it, and so great.
Great, good, good.
Awesome.
So I think, it is 10 o'clock, so I think we are going to wrap up, but I invite people to send any follow-up thoughts or questions that you have. And also, right, the burning question file is great because it helps us to say, so we have planned out 2 follow-up webinars the next 2 weeks, but we are looking to get someone who would be really able to do more nuts and bolts of social media stuff, because right, we can go down a rabbit hole of that, but I think it's really important all of us to learn, and I will be soaking up knowledge too, because we use that for events and to promote what we do. So good audience here. So we will continue to take burning questions that you have that you want us to get people to help answer. Do reach out to the Belma Vermont people. I think that's a great resource that they've made available, and if it's useful, that's fabulous. Look for an update from us later today, because the governor is going to be talking about a lot of stuff and a lot of economic development initiatives that are going to be coming to the state, and hopefully some of that can trickle down to our direct, to businesses, and that will be useful. So we'll let you know. Eric had one more thing, so go ahead, Eric, and then we'll let everyone get back to work.
Just a quick reminder to be using, Wilmington Works, the chamber, Gretchen in Wilmington, and Shannon up in Dover as your resource. I mean, collectively, we've spent, probably 1,000 hours on Zoom calls and webinars and work groups. So, use us as your resource with your questions. If we don't have the answer for you, we'll get the answer for you. If you're not getting our emails for any reason whatsoever, email myself or Meg. We'll make sure that you get added to that list. And we try to keep it to pertinent business information, on that particular list. But if you're not getting those, please let us know. And like I said, if you have any questions at all, reach out to us and we'll try to help you out.
All right, thanks a lot, everybody. So we'll jump and we'll look forward to an interesting weekend. Justin Will just put something that there's SCORE, and Keen has been doing a lot of webinars too. So we'll keep we'll keep our eye on that as well, because that's not too far from us. So
yeah, and he says specifically there's one on Facebook advertising tomorrow. So
right.
Good timing with that.
Great. Well, Sam, thank you so much for coming and talking to us, and we'll share this with everybody. We'll share the recording. We'll share contact information. If you'd like to call Sam, you can certainly set up a call with him and kind of work through some of those sticky problems one-on-one. So thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day. And Sam, thanks again so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here for you all. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Great to spend some time together.
And do the Zoom wave now, everybody. Okay.
That's right. The Zoom wave.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.